I really thought that trip would help fix things. We were in Maui for a week. It was supposed to be a reset. Things hadn't been great between us for a while, lots of distance, lots of small fights that just never really got solved. But I thought if we got away together, no distractions, no work, just us, maybe we could reconnect. She didn't even want to go at first. Said it was too much money, said she had deadlines. I basically begged her. And when she finally agreed, I felt like maybe that was a good sign, that she still cared. We'd been married 6 years. No kids. I always wanted them, but she said maybe later, and that became not now, and eventually just silence whenever I brought it up. But I didn't push. I was always the one making peace, giving in. I let her lead in everything because I thought that was being supportive. Looking back, I think I was just scared to lose her. The first few days were nice. We swam, ate dinner by the water, even laughed a little. She took a bunch of selfies, made us pose for a few together. At night she seemed distant though, like she was just going through the motions. I tried not to overthink it. On our 6th night there, she said she booked a spa appointment, facial and massage, late in the evening. I remember thinking that was odd, but I didn't say anything. I just told her to enjoy it. She left around 7. I stayed in the room and watched some movie, but time kept dragging. An hour went by. Then 2. Around 10, I started feeling sick about it. Something didn't sit right. I even called the spa to ask what time they closed. The woman on the phone said no one by my wife's name had an appointment that night. I just sat there after that, staring at the door, waiting. She came back around 10:30. She was smiling, cheerful, like she'd had the best night. I asked how the spa was. She told me it was amazing and that I should go the next day. Said it so casually, like nothing was off. I knew she was lying. I didn't say anything that night. I just lay in bed next to her while she slept, trying to convince myself I was wrong. But the next day, I checked her phone, and that's when everything fell apart. When I picked up her phone the next morning, my hands were shaking. She was in the shower. Normally, I wouldn't touch her stuff. I'm not that kind of person. But after what happened the night before, I just couldn't ignore the feeling in my gut anymore. There weren't many messages. She was smart. Most of them were deleted, but I found enough to confirm what I feared. A few texts left in the recently deleted folder, nothing too detailed, but enough to put things together. Stuff like, "Last night was perfect," and "I wish I could wake up next to you." I sat there with the phone in my lap for a long time, just staring at the words. My stomach was in knots. I felt like I couldn't breathe. When she came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, smiling like everything was fine, I just blurted it out. I didn't even plan to confront her. I just said, "Who were you really with last night?" She froze, just for a second. Then she looked annoyed. Not scared, not guilty, annoyed. "What are you talking about?" she asked, drying her hair like I was being dramatic. I told her I called the spa, that they had no record of her being there. I told her I saw the messages. That's when she started crying. She said it was nothing, that she'd run into an old friend from college at the resort. Said they grabbed a drink, just caught up, that she didn't want to tell me because I get jealous and weird, that she didn't mean for it to come off wrong in the messages. They were just talking, and she didn't realize how it sounded. She was crying hard, saying I was controlling, that I never trusted her, that I was always insecure, and this was exactly why she didn't tell me anything. She flipped it fast. I barely had time to think. And somehow, I believed her. Or maybe I just wanted to. Maybe I didn't want the whole trip to be a lie. Maybe I didn't want to admit that our marriage was already this broken. So I apologized. I actually said sorry for assuming the worst. She hugged me, told me she loved me, said she didn't want to lose me. And I told myself that I needed to try harder, that we both did. We flew back home the next day. I thought that was the end of it. I really did. But it wasn't. It was just the start. When we got back home, I tried to forget what happened. I really did. I told myself she made a mistake, that she didn't actually cheat, that it was just bad judgment. I clung to the idea that she still loved me, that her crying meant something. I kept replaying her hug in my head, the way she said she didn't want to lose me. I needed to believe her. Otherwise, everything we had built together, 6 years of marriage, 10 years as a couple would have felt like a lie. So I doubled down. I became the husband she said she wanted. More attentive, more patient. I helped out around the house more, planned more date nights, even started going to therapy by myself to work on my trust issues. She seemed better, too, for a while. She was affectionate again, more present. She made me coffee in the morning, sent little check-in texts during the day, even called me babe again like she used to. I thought maybe we'd survived it. Maybe it was just a wake-up call. But the thing is, I never really relaxed. That feeling, that low, heavy feeling in my chest, it never went away. Even when she was being sweet. Even when she was laying next to me. I was always watching, always wondering if she was hiding something. And then little things started happening again. She got really protective of her phone. Started taking it with her into the bathroom, which she never used to do. She turned off her notifications. Claimed it was because work was overwhelming. She started staying later at the office again. Working weekends. Team deadlines, she said. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But that gut feeling came back stronger. I tried to push it down, to focus on the good days. But every time she smiled at me, I couldn't stop wondering if she was thinking about someone else. I brought it up once. Asked her if she was sure everything was okay. She laughed, told me I was being paranoid, said I was sabotaging our progress. And I believed her again, because I was scared of being alone, because I'd already forgiven her once, and I didn't want to go through that pain again, because I thought if I just kept trying harder, it would all be okay. But deep down, I knew something was off, and I was right. I found out by accident again. It was a Saturday afternoon. She said she was going to a networking brunch with some coworkers. Normally, I wouldn't think twice about that, but this time, something didn't sit right. Maybe it was the way she got ready, more effort than usual. New dress, hair curled, perfume I hadn't smelled in months. I asked if it was a big deal, and she brushed it off. Just want to look nice. 2 hours later, I got a text from her, running a bit late. Don't wait on lunch. It was nothing, really, just that message. But something about it made me open up Google Maps and check our shared location. Except, her location sharing had been turned off. That's when my heart started racing. Not because I caught her, but because I knew. Deep down, I knew. That was her tell. She'd done it in Maui too. I just hadn't realized until it was too late. This time, I didn't sit and wait. I got in the car. I drove toward the area where she said brunch was. I checked the restaurant she'd named. No sign of her car in the lot. I parked down the street and waited. I didn't have a plan. I just sat there, sweating through my shirt, heart pounding, staring at every woman who came out the front door. An hour passed. Then I saw her. But she wasn't alone. She was walking with a man, tall, well-dressed, maybe late 30s. They weren't holding hands, but they were close. Laughing. Leaning in too much. Her body language said everything. I didn't get out of the car. I couldn't. I watched them walk down the street, disappear around the corner, and I just sat there gripping the steering wheel. She came home around 5. I was already there, pretending to nap on the couch. She kissed me on the forehead like nothing had happened. I asked how brunch was. She said it was great, but long. That night, when she fell asleep, I went through her bag. There was a receipt from a hotel bar. 2 drinks. Same neighborhood where I saw her. I didn't confront her this time. I didn't cry. I didn't even get angry. I just sat there in the dark, staring at the receipt in my hand, and I knew. I finally knew. This was who she was. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a bad moment. It was a choice. Again. And that's when something changed in me. I stopped believing her words. I stopped making excuses. The next few days, I acted like nothing had changed. Same routine. Same conversations. But inside, I was done. She still smiled like everything was fine. Still texted me from work. Still sat beside me on the couch scrolling her phone like we were just another normal couple. But I wasn't looking at her the same way anymore. I started seeing everything clearly. All the times she made me feel crazy for asking simple questions. All the times she cried to get out of taking responsibility. All the ways she made me think I was the problem, that I was insecure, too emotional, paranoid. She was good at it, too. So good that for years, I thought her coldness was just stress, that her lies were just misunderstandings. But now, I saw it for what it really was. Manipulation. She was never going to admit what she did. She didn't have to. She'd just cry, blame me, and wait for me to fold like I always did. Not this time. I stopped arguing. Stopped trying to get her to see my side. I was done begging for honesty from someone who used it like a weapon. I didn't explode. I didn't threaten. I just quietly started pulling away. I got my own bank account. I started meeting with a lawyer, looking into what a divorce would actually look like. I made copies of important documents, changed passwords, got everything ready, just in case. Meanwhile, she kept on like we were fine. We'd eat dinner, and she'd talk about her day like nothing had happened. She'd kiss me before work, send heart emojis. It was surreal, like living with a stranger who thought they were fooling you. One night, I watched her asleep next to me, peaceful, comfortable, and I realized something. She wasn't scared of losing me. She never had been. Because I always stayed. I always forgave. I always believed her. But not anymore. This time, she was going to see what it felt like when I stopped playing along. I waited a week before I said anything. I think part of me wanted to be absolutely sure. Not about her. I already knew. But about myself. I needed to know I was ready. That I wouldn't cave the moment she started crying. That I wouldn't second-guess myself like I always did. So when I brought it up, I was calm. I waited until we were sitting at the kitchen table, both of us finishing dinner. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I just said, I know you weren't at brunch last weekend. She blinked. What are you talking about? I saw you. With him. She laughed, actually laughed, then shook her head and said, Oh my God, are we doing this again? But this time, I didn't chase her down with questions. I didn't plead. I didn't break. I just stared at her. She kept talking, kept trying to flip it on me. You're paranoid, she said. You don't trust me. That's the real problem. She accused me of spying on her, of trying to control her life. But I didn't respond. I just let her keep talking. And you know what? That scared her more than any shouting would have. She started crying after that. Said I was cold. Said she didn't recognize me anymore. Said I was emotionally distant, that I pushed her away, that if something happened, it was because I made her feel unloved. And once again, she tried to make it my fault. But I didn't bite. I'm not doing this anymore, I said. Doing what? She snapped. This game, where you lie and cry and blame me until I forget what really happened. I'm done. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. I think it shocked her how quiet I was. How sure. I got up, grabbed my plate, and put it in the sink. She stayed sitting there, silent now. I didn't look back. And that was the first night in a long time I slept through the whole night. After that conversation, things in the house got tense. Cold, but quiet. She stopped pretending after that. No more good morning texts. No more forced smiles. She didn't even try to fix things, not really. She acted like I was the one who gave up. Like she was the victim now. She started walking around with this angry silence, slamming drawers, avoiding eye contact. If we spoke, it was short, clipped stuff. Bills. Groceries. Nothing else. No affection. No warmth. Just two people living in the same space, avoiding each other like strangers. The sad part? I preferred it that way. At least it was honest. One night, about 2 weeks after the confrontation, she tried one last card. The emotional breakdown card. I came home from work and found her crying on the couch, holding an old photo of us from our honeymoon. She looked up at me with mascara running down her face and whispered, I don't know who we are anymore. I stood there for a second. I could feel my chest tightening, the old instinct kicking in, the urge to go to her, comfort her, fix it. But I didn't move. I know exactly who we are, I said. I just don't want to be it anymore. That broke something in her. The crying stopped. She stood up, furious now. Started listing all the things I'd failed at, how I didn't make her feel desired, how I worked too much, how I wasn't emotionally present. I let her rant. I didn't argue. And that's what made her lose it. Because she couldn't control me anymore. Her words didn't land like they used to. I was done taking blame for things she chose to do. When she finally stopped talking, I told her I was filing for divorce. She went quiet again. Not sad, not angry, just stunned. I think that was the moment she finally realized she'd gone too far, that I wasn't bluffing. I packed a small bag that night and stayed at my brother's for a few days. I needed space to breathe, think clearly. I told her I'd be back to get the rest of my stuff once the papers were in motion. And even though part of me still hurt like hell, the bigger part of me felt free. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't waiting for the next lie. I was done. I thought she'd try to fight the divorce, that she'd drag it out, try to knock me out of it, guilt me into staying. But she didn't. She signed the first set of papers without much hesitation, almost like she wanted to prove she didn't care. Or maybe she was trying to beat me to looking unbothered. It was all about control with her, even in the end. What came next was messy, but not in the way you'd expect. We didn't have kids, and thankfully, most of our assets were already separated. I'd always handled my own finances because she didn't want to deal with boring stuff. That turned out to be a blessing. She kept the apartment. I didn't fight for it. I didn't want to stay in a place full of lies. I took my car, my clothes, and a few things that actually meant something to me. Still, it was emotionally brutal, packing up the life we built. Seeing our wedding photos one last time before tossing them in a box I'll probably never open again. Finding old birthday cards where she wrote things like, "You're my person," and "Forever yours." It felt like a different lifetime, like another version of me, some guy who still believed in her, had lived in those moments. My friends were shocked when they found out. Not because we split, but because I finally did something for myself. A few of them admitted they'd seen red flags in her for years but didn't know how to bring it up. That stung a little, but I understood. No one wants to get between a married couple, even when they see the cracks. My parents were supportive, though quiet. I think my mom always sensed Rachel was cold, charming on the outside, but not warm underneath. I moved into a small one-bedroom not far from work. It's nothing special, but it's mine. I sleep better now. I eat what I want. I play music when I get home. No one's there to criticize how I fold towels or what I forgot to buy at the store. It's lonely sometimes. I won't lie, but it's a clean kind of lonely. It's not like before, sleeping next to someone who made me feel alone even when her hand was resting on mine. And that's when I knew. Loneliness is better than being manipulated. A few weeks after I moved out, she started messaging me again. Nothing big at first. Just little things, "Hope you're okay. Did you take the blender?" Or, "I saw your old hoodie and thought about you." Casual. Light. Like we hadn't just ripped our lives apart. I didn't answer. Then the messages started getting longer. "I miss you," she wrote one night. "I've been thinking about everything. I know I messed up. But we were good once, weren't we?" And I sat there staring at my phone, feeling nothing. No anger. No longing. No curiosity. Just tired. I didn't need another round of apologies that would end in more blame. I didn't need her to cry again and tell me she was broken and that I didn't love her enough. I'd played that scene too many times already. I knew the script. Then came the guilt. She messaged again a few days later. "You gave up too easily. We could have worked through this if you had just tried." That one hit me harder. Not because it was true, but because that was always her angle. Make me feel like I was the one who let it fall apart. Like her cheating twice was just a symptom of my failure as a husband. For a second, I almost believed it again. But I didn't reply. I'd finally learned that I don't owe anyone my peace. Not anymore. I spent years walking on eggshells, second-guessing my every thought, asking myself if I was too sensitive or too clingy or too whatever. But now I know what I am. I'm someone who gave everything I had to someone who didn't value it. And when she broke it, not once, but twice, I still tried to forgive her. Still tried to build something with her. But people like her, they don't want to build. They want to take. And when they run out of things to take, they try to make you feel like that's your fault too. Not anymore. The divorce was finalized on a rainy Thursday morning. I didn't cry. I thought I might, but I didn't. I walked out of that courthouse feeling like I'd just put down a heavy bag I'd been carrying for years without realizing how much it was weighing me down. She didn't show up in person, just signed remotely through her lawyer. That felt fitting in a way. Detached until the end. I got a coffee after. Sat in my car for a long time just breathing. No music, no phone, just quiet. It felt like something inside me had finally settled. Like I didn't need to fight anymore. Or explain myself. Or prove I was enough. A few days later, I blocked her number. Not because I hated her. Not even because I was angry. But because I didn't want to leave the door cracked open anymore. No more what ifs. No more late night texts that messed with my head. No more wondering if maybe, just maybe, she meant it this time. I don't need the kind of love, the kind that comes with conditions and blame and mind games. I want peace. I want honesty. I want something real. And if that means being alone for a while, so be it. I've started seeing a therapist regularly now. We don't just talk about her. We talk about me. About how I lost myself trying to keep someone else happy. About how I ignored red flags because I was scared of being alone. About how I mistook manipulation for passion. I'm not perfect. I've got healing to do. But I'm learning. I'm learning to trust myself again. To listen to my gut. To set boundaries without guilt. Some nights still hurt. There are songs I skip. Streets I avoid. But the pain doesn't feel sharp anymore. It's dull. Fading. I don't miss her. I miss the person I thought she was. The life I thought we had. But now I know better. She cheated. She lied. She tried to make me believe it was my fault. And for a long time, I let her. But not anymore. Now, I wake up in a quiet apartment with peace in my chest, not panic. And that, more than anything, tells me I made the right choice. I'm free.